What is up, YouTube? This is Ibrion, your chat with the cat, back again for another video. Specifically, the newest edition of Throwdown Thursday. Now, this one is, as I said last week, going to continue on with the relatively new tradition of doing fan requests. Specifically, this one is going to be yet another one from my good buddy Zat Diablade, who did my last viewer request of the Scrap McLord Excels. Almost immediately afterwards, he put in a new request for me, one of which I was more than happy to facilitate. This one was a little more straightforward, but at the same time, much more open-ended. He requested a level 1 deck. That is not an easy thing to do, since most level 1 monsters are inherently terrible. However, this was not a difficult task for me to overcome, because I fortunately already had a level 1 deck. It's not something I've used too terribly often, however, it is something I've kind of had on my back burners I've been wanting to work on a little bit more, and this did give me an excellent opportunity to do just that. The deck in question, you may ask? Well, it doesn't really have an official name. Well, I gave it one, but amongst the community, I don't know if it has an official name or not. I like to call it Crime and Punishment, because it revolves around two monsters. Number 13, Embodiment of Crime, and number 31, Embodiment of Punishment. Now, this was one of the most annoying decks I've had to work with so far, and I've had some frustrating runs. But, I mean, even the McLord Excel thing, when that was at its worst, I could still get it to at least function on part of how the deck is supposed to work. But this one didn't really have a lot of variety to it. It was pretty much, you get these guys out, and you pray you can somehow get your opponent to have enough monsters on the field to game. And it wasn't easy at all. However, I managed to go through, improve the deck gradually as I went along, and I managed to get a couple of duels that did pretty decently, and fortunately at the end I actually managed to get one of the most amazing duels I've ever had on Dev Pro ever. But I rest my case. Let's go ahead and get started with the duels, shall we? So, starting things off, we're actually going to go with a relatively quick one. This was more just me actually being able to... This was the first time I was able to successfully get it off, as opposed to actually... Come on, load up. Here we go. Okay. So let me just swap over here. Okay, so since it's level 1, what I decided to go with was a sort of Ghost Trick build, where I focused on using the Ghost Trick monsters for their hand trap effect to prevent the battle phase, and then when they got destroyed, bring them back with Kinkabyo. So it was kind of a sort of weird spirit Ghost Trick thing with a couple of other level 1 monsters teched in, like Mystic Piper and Effect Veiler and things like that. What I specifically needed was things that I knew I could get out at a moment's notice, so one of the main things I decided to go with was a Battle Fader. I know a lot of people tend to prefer Swift Scarecrow, but in this case, Battle Fader is more useful to me because he ended the battle phase and then special summoned. And then, if I could get out another level 1 monster and overlay them in that turn, then I would be able to get out, you know, one of these guys who, just in case you didn't know who that was, this is who I was referring to. This is Embodiment of Crime, or as it's known in the OCG, Kane's Doom. The other one's known as Abel's Doom, so... But, yeah, I just kind of kept on going with this one. You notice I had to summon them in defense mode because, unfortunately, there's not exactly an easy way to get them all out quickly. At least I wasn't able to. I had to kind of stall around it. But he attempted to break through skill my Kinkabyo there for no real reason. I guess he didn't realize I didn't have any monsters. And here I was actually able to get it off, which was kind of cool, actually. I really never got to do that because I usually died too quickly or someone was able to negate it or whatnot. And then here's a moment where things like Effect Veiler actually came in handy. Like, really came in handy. The activated breakthrough's going like, oh shit, here we go. He's going to destroy it now because this is the biggest problem I ran into. And for whatever reason, he attacks the one whose effect was not negated and took the damage. I was extremely confused, but I was like, alright, whatever, it's free damage for me. It means this is easier for me to get past. Unfortunately, he rage quit by that point, but hey, I got it off and it worked. And that was the first successful run I ever had with that. Alright, so next up we have actually what was my biggest screw-up of a duel. Oh wow, I started me off on the right side. That's surprising, it never does that. Anywho, This was actually up against an Evil Swarm player in which I probably could have beaten them if I had actually been paying attention to what I was doing. Unfortunately, I made one key mistake that ended up costing me the entire duel here. And it's annoying because it was such a simple mistake and I could have easily gotten past it, but unfortunately this guy also kind of realized really quickly what I was using and how to counter it seemingly perfectly. You'll see what I mean in a second. This wasn't your typical Evil Swarm player. He wasn't just endlessly spamming his Ophions. He actually never once used Ophion, which was kind of surprising. So, quickly realizing I was about to overlay, he decided to go ahead and Torrential, which I'll give it to him was a smart idea. Yeah, I decided to just run an Aratama safely for the sake of searching out Kinkabios. I realize that this isn't that he's a level 4 monster, but since he's essentially just a Rhoda for Kinkabio for me, I didn't consider it cheating that much. He's really only there for the searching capabilities, and once I've searched them all out, he's worthless to me. Alright, so I get the first one. Embodiment of Crime, or Kane's Doom. Alright. Not much he can do at this point, so let's go back to, I decided to go ahead and grab the other one right here. He wanted a max C. I was like, alright, whatever, man. Not a problem. I can work past this. So I pull it off. I get it for a second time now, and decide to actually attack directly with them, which is something that you will rarely ever see with these guys. They don't attack ever. That's primarily because if they do attack, then they don't get off their effects. Their effects only works when they are attacked. Trust me. I found that out the hard way. Alright, so I decided to go ahead and use Aratama here just to search out my last Kinkabio, just in case, because I knew I was going to need to be detaching for these guys at some point, and if they don't have materials, they're no longer invincible. Unfortunately, he de-prisons me here, which this, I didn't realize at the time, was the indirect kiss of death for me. That was what screwed me over for the remainder of this duel, was that one de-prison, and you'll see what I'm talking about later when I attempt to make a recovery. Then he brought out the second kiss of death. This damn Thunderbird. This was the most infuriating thing I had to deal with, but I have to give the guy props for it because it was actually very well played, and he resisted the urge most Evil Swarm players don't realize they don't have to go for, which is to just swing mindlessly. This guy actually realized, hold on, this guy's activating a bunch of hand traps. If I just keep a Thunderbird on the field, I can constantly prevent him from special summoning. And that'll work out quite nicely. And unfortunately, just with how he does it, I cannot get out my Jack Frost or any of these guys. It was actually really, really annoying to try and deal with this. But that's not even the worst part of what happens. So I just decided to go ahead and set Aratama here. I don't really need him anymore. He's served his purpose. I have obtained all 3 of my Kinkabios, so at this point I'm just trying to again get past this damn Thunderbird, which... Okay, so at this point I managed to get an Xyz Reborn. Like, alright, cool, I can recover from this now. All hope is not lost. I could be warning my Kinkabio. It's like, damn, that was the last method I really had to easily summon these guys. But whatever, I'm still sure I can get past this. I just gotta figure out a way past this godforsaken Thunderbird. And I think I realized a way to do it. It's like, okay, hold on. I just need to be able to set a lantern, survive, and then bring out the other lantern. And fortunately, I do still have some back row here with 2 Air Forces. And then afterwards, I'll just Xyz Reborn, the other one that I need, and I'll be fine. So, he does it, does the Air Force thing. Thunderbird reacts, as expected. So, he then decides to bring out that guy for some reason, whatever. Then my turn comes. Finally, I can do this. I can recover. And then I get the wrong one. I did not even realize I had done that until I activated Xyz Reborn and saw that Embodiment of Punishment was not in my graveyard. Remember that D prison? Yeah, he's still sitting over here in the bandage zone. That's why I couldn't get him. That made me so angry. Not at, like, over the duel, but just at myself for having forgotten that. I mean, he was right there. It's not like you can't see him. He's clear as day right there, and I did not catch that. I felt so stupid for that. Just, I was really beating myself up on that one. It was just annoying. So, at this point, it's more come down to me just attempting to survive than actually, like, needing to win. I'm just hoping I can somehow recover. Just get rid of this Thunderbird and see what happens. Unfortunately, he does still have Infestation Pandemics, even without his precious thing. Then he gets rid of the one other thing I was counting on, the Torrential Tribute. My plan was for him to summon something, me to activate Torrential Tribute, him to attempt Thunderbird, and then me to activate this Breakthrough skill, finally getting rid of the damn thing. Not that it would have made a difference in hindsight, because look, he has another one in his frickin' hand! I could not get past these Thunderbirds no matter what I did. It was insane. So he summons a rabbit, and at that point I have no choice but to Breakthrough skill it, because I do not need that right now. Just, that is the one thing I don't need to deal with. So he does get some damage off. I attempt to Jack Frost. Thunderbird does Thunderbird stuff. So I'm really like being pushed here to the limit. I'm just trying to survive and hope I can pull it off one more time just for a defensive measure. If I can do that, there's not a whole lot that these guys can really do. Unfortunately, I can't stop the Rescue Rabbit this time, so he does get his Heliotrope. I'm like, god damn, here goes Ophion. But much to my surprise, he actually just kept them all out. It's like, oh shit, this is actually going to be a bit of a problem. If I'm not careful here, he's going to game me. So I tried to compulse Thunderbird. I knew it was going to react. I just needed to get rid of it so it didn't attack. He goes in with a Heliotrope. Like, all right, fine. On the next one, I can Jack Frost. He doesn't attack, so I can't do Jack Frost. Then he goes into Ouroboros, and of course he gets rid of the Jack Frost. God, I just cannot get this thing out. So I tried to 2 Xyz Reborn. I was like, damn, that is literally the last thing on earth I needed right now. And then he does that, chains for traps. I just Breakthrough skilled for shits and giggles. I knew it didn't make a difference. And he still chained it for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I guess he just felt like having fun with it. And he got rid of both my Xyz Reborns there. So it's like, dang, I can't even fend you off with half-assed defenses. At that point, I was like, alright, man, congrats, you got me. I have to concede to that. That was really good. I really can't do anything about that. And then really just to show off, he kind of just does all that, even though he just needed one of his Thunderbirds. And that was that. If I had just paid more attention and not screwed up with the embodiment of punishment being banned thing, I may have been able to come back from that. Probably would have been a very different duel, but, you know, hindsight and all that. Alright, so now we come to the grand... Wait, hold on, is this the... Oh my god, that was the same... Are you serious? This was the same guy? That's hilarious. Oh no, it was not the same guy, never mind. I was about to say, that would have been amazing if that was the same dude. Sorry, I get distracted easily. Alright, so... Oh wow, starting on the same side again. That's 2 for 2, I'm impressed. Alright, so now as you can see, I'm facing off against an Arrow Mage player, which I don't face off against too many of them, so I get how the deck works, but I'm not, like, overly familiar with it. So I just go ahead and start off with Aratama, get it, grab another Kinkabio, so I know I can go into a little easier. He starts off with a Mathematician, like, should I veil it? Nah, what's the worst he can do? And he shows me the worst he can do. It's like, oh, damn, I probably should have called that. Actually, no, I really shouldn't have been able to call that, because Mathematician stacks in so many things, it's really hard to tell. So I go ahead and get off a Lantern there. My turn comes around, I get another Xyz Reborn. It's like, alright, I can work with that. I'll just go ahead and bring out one of my Kinkabios. I don't need both of them, and just go for him. Probably gonna die, but that's fine. I can still work around that. When he does, I'll have my things in the graveyard, and then I can just bring one of them back with Kinkabio, and then Xyz Reborn the other one. It'll be fine.
So he gets off some early damage. I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. Once I get my defenses up, I'm golden. I don't even care. And I draw a Soul Charge, which, for those of you who don't know, Soul Charge is the ideal way to pull off Embodiment of Crime and Embodiment of Punishment. So at this point, he pulls off this Moist Wind card, and this card is what makes this guy so difficult to fight. This is also the moment I truly realized what it was I was up against. So I set both of my Exceeder Borns just in case the guy somehow managed to MST one of them. And then I managed to get it off yet again, and then I decided to just go ahead and chain Embodiment of Punishment's effect. So I can't do it after this, but whatever he does, he's going to almost be forced to attack me. I decided to effect Veiler that so he can't do his defenses switching thing, because for those of you guys who don't know, when Rosemary, when you gain life points, Rosemary switches one battle position of a monster. And I didn't need him doing that, so they all kind of were just like forced to go in. And I almost gamed this guy. I was so happy with that. Like, I got him down to 800 life points. If I could have cowboyed, I could have gamed him. Unfortunately, this is a rank 1 deck, not a rank 4 deck, so I couldn't do that. I just decided to go ahead and just Soul Charge so I can get off another thing here, just an extra layer of it, because unfortunately, when these guys don't have materials, they die on the first hit. But they do still do the reversing damage thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't stop Rosemary's changing defense thing anymore, so I couldn't really do anything about that, and he just was able to keep gaining life points, shifting my guys over to defense mode, in which case if he attacked him, who the hell cares? It wouldn't make a difference. And so I guess he was just kind of attacking to see what would happen. Fortunately for me, he attacked Ape Embodiment of Punishment for some reason. So at this point, it kind of just became a standoff. Like, this is pretty much going to be the remainder of the duels. Just him building up life points and me maintaining this iron defense with Embodiment of Crime and Embodiment of Punishment. There's really nothing I can do with this, honestly. I'm kind of stuck here. Because if I do chain the effect, he's just going to do something so that he can switch my monster to defense mode. There's nothing I can do. I decided to go for it anyway, just see what the hell happens. Of course, he's going to do Rosemary stuff and switch some of his guys over to defense mode. He's also going to do some Xyz plays, so he minimized the damage greatly there. That otherwise would have hurt like hell. Honestly, I don't get why he didn't just switch my monster to defense mode, but whatever. He still managed to minimize the damage to the point where it didn't even really matter, so I can hardly argue with him on that one. So I decided, alright, let's go ahead and make a fourth one here. Just so I can be like extra sure and I can get another one if I really need it. It's rare you'll ever be able to get off more than one set of these guys, let alone at the same time. It was honestly kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, like I said, it just kind of goes on like this. I eventually realized that there was pretty much no way on earth I was going to be able to do anything to this guy, just because he's constantly gaining back life points at a rate faster than I can force him to attack me at because of this Rosemary. So just because of the way Arrow Mages inherently work and this damned Rosemary card, there really wasn't a whole lot I could do. So this guy just kept on gaining life points, triggering effects, and I was just kind of forced to take it all. Then, of course, he gets off another Rosemary, so it's like, dang, that's really going to be a problem now. So now he can switch two of my monsters to defense mode whenever he wants, and I'm still barely nicking at anything. Like, it was just insane trying to deal with this. I was just trying to figure, okay, how can I reduce this guy's life points? Because I got to do it before he just builds them all up again, which he's doing, like, continuously. He's gotten back almost half his life points already. So I was like, alright, cool. I got an MST. I can take care of this godforsaken garden and be done with it. Unfortunately, he still has like 20 other ways to shift me all into defense mode. It's like, dang, come on. So in this particular case, he went for both of my embodiment of punishments for some reason. I don't know. I guess the dude was just trying to find some way to get around me. And unfortunately, that is easier said than done. Because as long as they're all out there, there's really nothing that anyone could do to them. So, yeah, he's just busy doing his thing. I'm just trying to hold down the fort until an opportunity presents itself. And it was about this time I sadly realized what my strategy was ultimately going to have to become. I was going to have to rely on decking this guy out, because the dude's almost up to 6,000 life points already. There's no way I can trigger their effects and actually get any sort of a benefit from it that would be relevant. So, yeah, this is basically what I'm working with at this point. It's just the sad realization that what I'm ultimately going to have to do is deck this guy out. I mean, he's searching through his deck like a madman, plus the draws that he gets. It's like, well, I mean, he's kind of speeding up the process for me a little bit. He's only got 15 cards left, and I'm, like, not even at half my deck, so this may be plausible if he just keeps up his silly Arrow Mage stuff. But yeah, at this point when he was pretty much back to full, it's like, alright, yeah, this could be a problem. Then he brought out this guy, what's it called? Arrow Mage Bergamot, who I realized does piercing damage. I'm like, hello, that's interesting. Plus it gains 1,000 attack, so I realized I may be able to make use of this. So I decided at this point I needed to test a little theory out here. I just kind of let him do all of his things, you know, just build all that up. Oh, did I not do it this turn? My bad, I thought I did something this turn. I guess this is just another one of my... Oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to... This was the turn I had the plan. I just wanted to see if I could wait until the main phase so I could avoid all, like, this bullshit he was doing. So... Yeah, at this point, I decided, alright, I need to see if this will work. So, he's doing all his stuff. And at this point, I used that one to say, alright, let's see if I can make this work with his 3,400 monster. Maybe I can potentially have a comeback victor. I can somehow whittle down his life points with this. And so, I don't know why he decided to attack that one with that first. He gets the big one in, it dies, and then he's no longer stuck in the battle phase. I was like, oh, okay, I guess when the monster that activates it dies, then the whole thing wears off. Good to know. I previously didn't know that. So now I'm way down to them, but at the same time, I do still have 2 Xyz Reborns and an Air Force here, so it's not that big of a deal. I can work around it. Unfortunately, I do only have 1 Embodiment of Punishment, but that's, again, not a big deal for me. I know this one's not banished, so I know I can get him back with Xyz Reborn. So he essentially continues to undo literally every... Oh, he actually burned me that time. I was wondering where that went from. So he just kind of keeps on doing his thing, discarding. I gotta be able to survive another 8 cards, and I can BS this. So yeah, what happens at this? I believe this is when he finally does the thing I'm thinking of. I'm not 100% certain. Let's see, is this the turn that he does it? God, please let this be the... Sorry about that. Unfortunately, the camera capture thing that I use only gives me free intervals of 10 minutes. Anyway, he overlaid the Rosemary to go into a Castell. I decided to try and Book of Moon it, see what could happen there. Hoping that might have done something. Unfortunately, it really didn't. So, at this point, it looks like this guy's going to get it. But, however, I still have my secret weapon. Xyz Reborn. But at this point, he has to just kind of end it there. He knows he can't do anything because then I'm going to game him. Or at least inflict heavy damage. So at this point, I actually kind of make a big mistake thinking I can try and go for the other one again. Because I forgot these guys do piercing. And I just set a 0 defense monster, so that would have been game for me. I completely forgot about that when I did it. But then I remembered, oh wait, no, I'm still golden. I still have Air Force. So then tries to bring out this thing and go for the Air Force. I have to Valor that or I'm going to lose here. And I refuse to allow that to happen. So he does that, and I get another MS. He's like, alright, let's go ahead and get rid of this Garland again. This thing's getting on my nerves. Normal summon the Spectre, get out Jack Frost, and go into my Embodiment of Punishment again. I'm like, alright, cool. I got a rock-solid foundation. There's nothing he can do at this point. gonna go ahead and just chain this, have him just burn himself off for a lot. It's really the only way I kind of have to do that, really. So he goes ahead and gets rid of the Air Force again, but I'm not really too concerned about it at this point because I don't really need it anymore. So he then goes for an M7. I'm like, oh shit, here we go, get rid of one of them. And he actually gets rid of his Castell. Like, I was so confused what he did here, but then I realized all the stuff that he's doing is actually just intended to reduce the amount of damage he's going to be forced to inflict on himself. So we went from that massive field to just a Fortune Tune and this 1900 monster. So it's like, dang, that was actually really impressive. I really had to handle this guy. This guy really knew how to handle arrow mages and get around this incredibly annoying situation. But again, he's almost decked himself out. There's no way he's going to be able to get me in my mind. Like, alright, cool, I got this. Just so long as no BS happens, I should be fine. Plus, if nothing else, I do still have my Air Force, which fortunately he missed with his Kananga, I guess is what it's called. So he gets rid of one of them with the M7. He knows he still can't do anything because I still have another one. And yeah, we're getting down to the wire here. This one took a while. So he again hits my Ixies Reborn, which I was incredibly grateful for. Keeps on doing his life point gain thing, and then activates a Miracle Fertilizer to get back his Rosemary, and then go back into the Castell he bounced earlier. It's like, dang, that was actually a really good play on his part. And then he gets rid of both of them. It's like, alright, it's okay. Just go in for the attack. Go in for the attack. I can handle it. I'm going to screw you over completely. Air Force. Yeah. I felt so happy about that. You have no idea. Because I was really freaking out at that point. Because now it's like, okay, great. Now I got these guys. And if something happens to them, I'm dead. So I draw into a bottomless, which is going to be extremely helpful. I just go ahead and set those. Even the Execution Born. But that's mostly just like MST bait. Just so I can not have to worry about that. And then Miracle Fertilizer's the Piercer back. I'm like, oh, hell no. We're going to go ahead and bottomless that, thank you. So he has to pass. I'm like, cool. One card left. I need to survive one turn. Unfortunately, all my hand traps are useless because I have field presence at this point. I draw into a Riot. It's like, damn, it's not what I needed. I really just needed anything that could help me like survive this. And he plays another Miracle Fertilizer and gets the other ones. Like, dang, are you serious? I need to survive this turn. And then he just builds this thing up to be a piercing monster and games me. There was nothing I could do. I was like, alright, that came down to the wire. That was an amazing duel. I can't even be mad about that. Even if I lost, that was still one of the most amazing duels I've ever had. So that's what I got for you guys for level 1 deck. Let me know what you guys think down below. Was that a good one? Was it bad? I think it was pretty good. If you guys see any means of improving this deck, please let me know. If you have suggestions for another deck I can feature on a future installment of on a future installment of Throwdown Thursday, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to also like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.